My stepfather despised me and tried to kick me out, unaware the house was legally mine. I'm an 18-year-old guy, and I've been living with my mom and stepdad for the past 3 years. Things have been tough lately, and I really need some advice. My mom married my stepdad, David, when I was 16. At first, everything seemed okay. He was nice enough when we were all together. But when it was just the two of us, he acted differently. He'd make little comments about how I was lazy or didn't help out enough around the house. I tried to ignore it and stay out of his way. As time went on, things got worse. When my mom wasn't around, he criticized everything I did. He complained about how I did chores, the music I listened to, even the way I dressed. Nothing was ever good enough for him. I tried talking to my mom, but she brushed it off, saying things like, "Oh, he's just trying to help you become more responsible," or "I'm sure he doesn't mean it that way." The real problem started about 6 months ago when my mom found out she was pregnant. My stepdad was over the moon about it. He started planning the baby's room and talking about how excited he was to be a dad. I was happy for my mom, but I couldn't help feeling left out. That's when the lies started. My stepdad began telling my mom all kinds of stories about things I supposedly did wrong. Staying out late when I wasn't, being disrespectful to him, and so on. None of it was true, but it was always his word against mine. My mom seemed confused and didn't know who to believe. Last week, my stepdad announced that he wanted to remodel the house to make a nursery for the baby. He talked about knocking down walls and rearranging rooms. I didn't think much of it at first. But then, 2 days ago, my mom sat me down for a talk. She looked uncomfortable and wouldn't meet my eyes. She said, "Honey, you're 18 now, and you're becoming a man. We think it might be time for you to get your own place." I was shocked. I stammered, "What? Why? Did I do something wrong?" She rushed to reassure me. No, it's not that. It's just, well, with the baby coming, we need the space. You're old enough now to be on your own. It'll be good for you to learn some independence." I could tell this wasn't her idea. My stepdad stood in the doorway, arms crossed, with a smug look on his face. That's when I knew he had put her up to this. I tried to argue, explaining I wasn't ready to move out. I'm still in community college and working part-time at a grocery store. There's no way I can afford my own place right now. But my mom just kept repeating that it would be good for me and that I needed to grow up. Then my stepdad chimed in, "You've got 2 days to find a place. We need to start the remodeling soon, and we can't have you underfoot while we're getting ready for the baby." I spent all of yesterday in a daze. I couldn't focus at work, making mistakes my boss noticed. When I got home, I overheard my mom and stepdad talking in the kitchen. My stepdad was saying it's about time he moved out. He's holding us back. My mom sounded unsure, but he kept talking over her, saying things like, "You've got to cut the cord sometime. He'll thank us for this later." I wanted to burst in and tell them off, but I knew it wouldn't do any good. My stepdad has my mom wrapped around his finger, and anything I say would just be twisted against me. That night, I remembered my grandmother's sister, my godmother. She's always been like a second mom to me, though she lives far away. Desperate, I gave her a call. When I explained the situation, she got real quiet and said, "Don't you worry about a thing, sweetie. You don't need to go anywhere. I'm coming there tomorrow, and we'll sort this out." The next day, around 2 p.m., the doorbell rang. My stepdad answered it, and I heard my godmother's voice. She marched into the living room, where my mom and I were sitting, and said, "We need to talk. All of us. Now." She looked at me and said, "Honey, this house belongs to you. Your grandmother left it to you in her will. You're the legal owner, and no one can make you leave." My mom looked shocked, and my stepdad's face turned red. He sputtered about how that couldn't be true, but my godmother pulled out the paperwork. She explained that my grandmother changed her will before she passed, leaving the house to me to protect us from my stepdad. My stepdad completely lost it, yelling about how it wasn't fair. I finally found my voice and told him, "This is my house, and I won't have you acting like this here." After things calmed down, I made a decision. I told them they could stay in the house, but under 3 conditions. My stepdad must treat me with respect. We all go to family counseling. Any major decisions about the house must be discussed with me first. My mom agreed immediately. My stepdad, though unhappy, had no choice but to accept. It's been a few days and things are still tense, but my stepdad has stopped being openly hostile. I'm learning what it means to be a homeowner, and though it's a lot to handle, I finally feel secure. I know we have a long way to go as a family, but I'm hopeful. Most importantly, I know this is my home, and no one can take that away from me. Thank you, Grandma, for looking out for me.